Welcome to What We Made Possible, the podcast where we explore the power of healing and driving change for advocates, leaders, and change makers. The conversations here draw the connection between creating new possibilities in the world, possibilities of care, of belonging, of thriving for our communities, with stories of personal healing and loving relationship building. I'm your host, Patty Dayleg, leadership coach for social change. I spent a decade in nonprofits, government, and DEI, securing 6- and 7-figure opportunities for communities of color. And I've experienced firsthand the transformative power of compassion, healing, and belonging in making a bigger impact. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to What We Made Possible. This is the podcast where we explore the ripple effects of healing and how the ways that we show up in relationship shape what becomes possible for our communities. And I shared this on LinkedIn recently, but I've been thinking a lot about legacy. I watched that show Succession. I've been watching The Bear. I also come from a line of entrepreneurs. My mom has done everything from owning a catering business in Staten Island to having a general construction business and real estate pre-2008. She owned a baby clothing store, the works, right? And my parents now own a medical billing and administration business. And, I had a grandfather who had a funeral parlor, and I had a grandmother who had a little baby pharmacy, and on and on and on. I have so many kind of businesses that have happened in my families. And so I've been thinking about what does it mean right now to be in business with family in our current political environment, right? Where I work mostly with immigrants. So in this political environment of what does it mean to be immigrant family business run in America right now? And over the past year, I had the opportunity to coach a successor in a family business. You might have heard her episode. That's with Kajatu Kadi Balde. She runs Modify Thrift, which is in Harlem, and she took over her dad's store, and now she is doing amazing. She's doing amazing things. It started off as pop-ups, and then she did a little pop-up at her dad's store, and now it's the whole thing. And now I'm also currently supporting a nonprofit leader who is preparing to pass the baton in the next couple of months. So I've witnessed these transitions up close, and I keep noticing something, which is that the most complex part of succession is not the technical part, the operational part. That part is tough, let me tell you, right? It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. But there's a lot that's unspoken. And I've talked on this podcast about leaving well, right? What does it mean to leave intact for yourself and for your team once you have made your departure, for them to also feel like they are whole as they're carrying the mission forward. And again, there's a lot of unspoken questions. Carrie Peters, who was one of my previous coaches, who also ran the Health Coach Institute for a long, long time, she was on this podcast. And she talks about the grief, right, of selling a business, of these kind of executive transitions, right? There's a lot of unspoken stuff that happens in succession and in leadership transition. Questions about identity, about belonging, questions about what we owe to the people who came before us, questions about what we want for our own lives, how we want to honor the past while also still allowing something new to emerge, right? So this feels really especially present in immigrant family business, because for a lot of immigrant families, the business is not just a business. It's stability. It's survival. It's not just another another liability or another asset that we have that like someone in the family handles, right? It's dignity. Like it's literally like survival. It's proof that the immigration journey was worth the risk. And a business is often the thing that allows a family to create safety in a new place. And so for the next generation, right, if you're thinking about taking over the business or partnering with your parents on the next, they're like an adventure together, the business can hold a lot of layers of meaning. And there can be a lot of deep pride in what's been built. There can be gratitude for the sacrifices that made the business possible, right? I remember when my mom was running that store in Staten Island and my dad worked in Brooklyn at the time. And we were living in Jersey City. Now, if you don't know, like the New York metropolitan area traffic, I was waking up. I remember like Sailor Moon was on, I think at like 6 a.m. And that's because that's what time I had to be up. Like I had to be up at 6, get ready with my mom in Jersey City. We would drive to Staten Island. And then my dad would drive to his office in Brooklyn. I think that's where he worked. And then he would come back at the end of his workday. He would pick us up. Like I would have gone to school and then I would have like spent the rest of the day at my mom's store and then my dad would pick us up. And so like I just imagine the sacrifices. Like listen, no wonder I've been burnt out because I've been burnt out since I was like 4 years old. Like 6-year-old me having to like go to Staten Island in the middle of, I was gonna say middle of the night, but like so early morning. And there were so many times that I was also like late for school because it was so traffic. So it's real sacrifice, you know? The other, I'm laughing because like this also just points to like first daughter hyper independence. I taught myself how to tie my shoes at my mom's store. And I remember there were these like, it was a store and then there were stairs kind of leading up to like a loft area. And I would like sit on the stairs and the stairs were facing the door. So I would wait for my dad to come and pick us up at the end of the day. And there was a time that I was waiting for him so long that I figured out how to tie my shoes by myself. You know what I mean? So, I just imagine like for my dad, poor guy had to drive from Jersey City to Staten Island and then Brooklyn and then back, like being like navigating the day to day alone, the sacrifices that made that business possible, right? There can also be questions in this, right? Questions about whether this is the path you would choose for yourself, right? We're talking about succession, right? So is this the path that you want for yourself? How do you want to carry it forward? Do you want to do it in a way that your family did it, or do you want to do it in a way that's different, which could be a whole like thing with your family, right? Do you even want this? Like if you've built another career, like do you want this work? Questions about how to make decisions that impact not only your own life, but like the well-being of the people that you love, right? All of that lives under the surface. And they're not always easy to talk about openly with your families. Like my family's not super open about how we talk about our feelings and like how we're navigating things. We kind of just navigate. So, and sometimes because like that's the case because we want to protect ourselves from like our family from worry, right? Like I want to protect my parents from worrying about me. They for sure want to protect me from worrying about them. Sometimes we want to avoid conflict. And sometimes it's cultural norms, right? That like shape, for some cultures, it's the elders who make the decisions and that's it. Like you can take over when your parent is gone. Like that's just how it is. And so like how do you navigate that, right? So what I'm finding is that I've also been talking to people who are like thinking of working with their parents or thinking of succeeding their parents, or they were kind of being, what's the word that I'm looking for? Groomed to do that, right? So what I'm finding is that many successors are holding these questions for themselves, like kind of internally, often without a space where they can speak openly with others who understand that complexity. I've seen people ask questions on Reddit because they're like, I don't know where else to go. I don't know who else to ask. And so this is where systems coaching can be supportive. I mentioned in the last episode all about systems coaching and all of the different challenges that people are bringing that are not just individual decisions, but they impact relationships across teams. This one in particular is one that I really want to explore in as I'm certifying through this program because it affects relationships across generations. It affects siblings, parents, partners, right? Your employees might be your cousins, right? Your communities. And again, it touches questions of identity, responsibility, belonging, possibility. So in my current certification program, we are tasked with developing a project that is kind of focusing our time in the program. And so the project that I developing, I want to focus specifically on intergenerational immigrant family business. So part one is that I want to like coach the family who's in the business, right? And think about like how can we like what do we want to navigate, right? Like what are we navigating together? And I shared this on LinkedIn, I shared this on Instagram, and a fellow coach messaged me because her parents had a restaurant when she was growing up, and she said, if we had a coach like you, then maybe my family's business might still be in existence because they closed it. And, same thing with my mom and her catering business and store in Staten Island. It closed because she got really tired and there was no one else to kind of step in. And it just got untenable. And how many people does that happen for? Where like, the family just like there's nowhere else where it can go. And this is happening right now because it's happening a lot right now because a lot of our parents are ending their careers, right? Like they're retiring. The reason why I know this is true is because I'm now seeing all these ads and like pop-ups, maybe not ads, but like people on Threads and like people on Instagram. The finance bros and the marketing bros are now teaching people how to buy boomer businesses. And I'm seeing this notion of entrepreneurship via acquisition, right? Like buying other people's businesses. But that might not be the ideal situation for many immigrant family businesses, right? Like maybe you want to keep it in your family. And so anyway, I started to talk about this idea of like actually coaching the family who is in the business. So if you are a person who is like thinking of taking over your family's business, or you are in your family's business and there's stuff that you want to navigate, then hit me up. Like I would love to coach you. I am offering free coaching to 3 families. So if you want to be one of them, then definitely let me know. The other part of the project is convening a small group that I'm calling a successors circle, where successors and potential successors can come together to explore all of these like different dimensions, the practical, the relational, all that stuff. The intention is really to create space for conversations that might feel difficult to have elsewhere, right? Not a lot of people will share this like identity, to share this language around talking about legacy and choice, right? Like there's also like your family stuff is like tied into it, right? So we're looking at common patterns across different family stories. And in this, again, like I started off talking about like we were talking about a moment where immigrants are under attack. And so there's like real threats of safety and belonging. And not just that, economic uncertainty. And so families are navigating complex questions about stability, about future possibility. And so the decisions that are made within your family business might even carry more weight. So if you are a person who is in this position, whether you're currently like taking over, you're considering it, or you're starting to ask yourself these questions, or you're like working with your family on something new together, I want you to know that you are not alone. and navigating these dynamics. There's wisdom that emerges when these conversations can happen in relationship, right? With another person who is in the exact same experience as you, the same exact seat. So, successor circle, I want like 3 people, maybe 4, maybe 5, but I would love to connect. So, if you know someone who is looking to be a successor, then please, I would love to talk to them and have you in successor circle. And I would love to have the honor of offering coaching to your family system, whether it is you and your siblings, you and your parents, whoever is like in the business together. So if this conversation resonates with you or with someone you know, please connect. Please connect. Hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on LinkedIn. I also have call links in the show notes. And I really want to do this. I shared to my email list, and maybe I'm burying the lead a little bit. I shared with my email list that, my dad has this medical billing and administrative business. And for many, many years, he has been asking me if like one day I want to take over. And I've been like, no, I'm doing my own thing. I was doing DEI, I was a nonprofit, I was doing coaching, whatever. And recently, once I started this systems coaching training, I did the whole training last year. Now I'm in the certification to really like embody it, right? I've been thinking about like all of these like dynamics within families. And so when he asked me and he was like, oh, it would be sayang if we sold the business. It would be a waste if we sold the business. I was like, oh man. So now I'm like actually considering it. It originally was kind of a shorter timeline, but it looks like my dad wants a little bit more time in the business. So like TBD on what even that timeline is. But ever since we've had that conversation in the fall of last year, I've been really sitting with it. And I've been thinking a lot, right? Like I said, about legacy and thinking about all of the leadership transitions that I've been supporting over the last decade of doing this work and how I want to focus that, and not just to support like any one individual, but to support like the system, like the family that's doing it. The other thing that like, because all of the finance and marketing bros are telling people to buy other businesses, I'm like, let's keep our family's businesses in the family if we want to, if that's the goal, right? Like my dad said, like, we could sell this business and someone could buy it for sure, but then like we lose out on the generational wealth that is possible that we could continue to build in this business. And that is what my friend was saying when she messaged me about her family's business. Like, it could still be in existence. I have this other one thing to say, which is that I've been listening to resources, things like podcasts for other people who do kind of succession work, just to see like how people are thinking about it. And this one person whose podcast I listened to, she is a person whose family had like a wealth event, is what they're calling it, meaning they came into money. And she talks to other people who are second, third generation business owners, and the thing that they are navigating is like what to do with their wealth. And maybe I don't deserve the wealth that I'm receiving. And it's just a different conversation. It's not. I'm not saying that like immigrant family-owned businesses aren't creating generational wealth. They are. I've been talking to folks who have like said that like their entire lives have been made possible by these family businesses. But it's a different conversation. It's not just about wealth. It's about safety and belonging and legacy and like who are we in this country and like who are we together, and it's about dignity and like, again, like I said, like proof that the immigrant journey was worth the risk, right? Like these businesses are about so much more than the money. And being a daughter of business owners and being a business owner myself, I know that it's so much more. It's so much more. So, I will say that some immigrant family business owners and their families, right, are navigating wealth, and that's a very real thing. Like I want us to be navigating wealth, but not all of us are. And there's just such a different kind of like cross-cultural conversation, multi-generational conversation that isn't happening in other spaces. And so I really want to create this. The other part of why I want to create this is because I haven't seen it. If anyone knows other people who are doing this, I would love to connect with them. If y'all could help me out, like usually my episodes are about teaching something or like sharing a thing that I'm learning, especially last week, or like sharing a concept. But this one is about like, for real, like I'm asking for help, like help me connect with people who are in this work, because I want to find them and I want to support them. And I'm hoping that someone who hears this is like, this is exactly the kind of thing that I am looking for. So if that's you, then we should absolutely connect. Hit me up on LinkedIn, hit me up on Instagram, or find the link in the show notes to get on my calendar, and we can explore, again, what we can make possible together. Thank you for listening to What We Made Possible. I really hope this episode resonated. As a coach, I always end with action steps, and so I invite you to do something, which is to pause and ask yourself, what resonated? What am I taking away? And what's possible for me and my community now? If you liked this conversation, please leave a review and a rating. It helps so much. Thanks again.